Hello, and thank you for joining our Fireside chats at the European Cardano community. I am Marcus, one of the core team members, and if you like what we are doing, please consider supporting our individual projects. At time of this recording, these are Davide's Rookies Game, Ricardo's Web3 user group, or delegating to my Cardano stake pool with the ticker birth to support us at Larissa Health. You will find the links to our guests and our projects below the video. Now hit the notification bell, give us a thumbs up, and enjoy this session.
Hello. Welcome everybody to another fantastic edition of the European Town Hall Fireside Chat. I hope everybody is doing fine, and we are very glad to have you here. So as first thing, as usual, we have our mantra. This is a global town hall mantra that we translated in many different European languages to make some confusion and to enjoy the chaos that usually reigns after reading this. Usually we read one line each. If there are volunteers for reading lines, they are more than accepted. Let's talk on top of each other, it's not a problem, but I will start because the first line is in Italian. Benvenuti all'esperimento.
Les choses? Oh, no, Boaz. We got you.
Les choses peuvent changer.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Chi verrà? Fehlende Dokumentation?
Yeah.
Differ greatly between iterations, sorry.
No, don't worry. Disorient, overload, and inspire.
Mauro?
Our goal, provide a safe and lively environment for you to explore the highest potential de la colaboración humana.
Yay! Excellent. Good.
Great. Let's go ahead. We also have our our European mantra that Marcus wrote for us. So I will invite him to read it all.
Oh, yeah. Keep your notes up to date. And there's a new version coming out within the next days. We're approaching 8.8, and soon as IOG is handing over more and more to the community, we're approaching 9. Whatever is called later. We have Intersect holding now the repositories of the nodes, which is amazing. P2P is increasing on what they do, so you definitely should upgrade. And if you're a low or small or mid-sized tier pool, you should connect directly to bigger pools and same size pools, because decentralization will be propelled further as IOG is outphasing their relay nodes that have been backbone for many I would say months now for other relays. So the support is being removed. The responsibility is going more and more forward to the community, which is amazing. So keep it up. Try to study or learn something new every day, and that's what we're here for. Support and connect with community members for synergy and goals. And Mauro, do you want to do the other two?
Well, I just want to mention that if anyone, we are looking as a group, as a community, as the European Cardano community, we are working on the draft, but the Bright Catalyst team has a proposal that I also recommend to upvote. That is for make different workshops about priorities, parameters, and incubators of proposals and projects. First of all, if anyone in Europe wants to host a workshop, please contact any one of us, and we are still working and planning this to be a possibility, and all delegators of each workshops to meet in one country. So this will be really interesting, but it's not confirmed. First of all, the most important thing that for this to happen is that the proposal is approved. So I highly recommend to upvote. We know that in the past years, there was some criticize to the IOG team for the lack of communication with the community, but in this way they are showing to us that they are learning and they want to have more feedback from the community itself. We see it with the elimination of the downvote in this round, and a lot of things could change and happen. So highly recommend that if you are a Europe-based, contact us to host a workshop in your own country, and after that we could meet in any other country that we didn't know yet, but there is a chance. And also please upvote this Catalyst team proposal. This is all for me.
Perfect. And as you said, in discussions around governance, things can heat up. So be inclusive, friendly, and wise with words, even in anger. Share information without destroying dreams, people, or the reputation.
Very good.
And that was
Yes.
that part was so much inspired by Mauro's story. So it's not just me doing this.
Yes, sure. Okay, let's also say that we, as an activity of our community, we host the several different X Twitter spaces in May.
Oh, you hear David still or not?
Oh, he's taking a break, I think.
Okay. Yeah, we host X spaces in different languages. So if you want to host a space in your own language, just contact anybody from the team, and then we will make arrangements. We also have a symbolic compensation for the co-host, so feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be only languages. It can be a specific topic if you like. If you are very, very strong into CIPs, it doesn't have to be the major one, right? It can be anything, like generally talking about CIPs, generally talking about the process. Whatever is dear to you and is related to Cardano or educating other people in and around the space, you're highly welcome to join us. And we organize it. We host you on our channel, so you get the outreach. And sometimes it works. Sometimes you don't get the feedback you like. Sometimes it's a bit low maintenance, but not low participation. But just stick to it, and then you build and build and build and build. And in the end, we will all benefit from that.
Yeah, very, very true. So we should start with the first guest, that is the Keyboard Warrior Internet Cafe. I hope that somebody from the team is in the meeting, but I'm not sure because I don't know the actual names. And it's pretty late there in Australia. So if nobody is taking the microphone, I will go ahead for the next one.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's hope that somebody will connect later. And we start with our friend of Revuto, Vedran.
Wait, sorry. We said Farhad could switch, if possible, with you, Maciej, because it's very late in India.
Okay. I'm sorry. I totally forgot. So now, Emurgo.
Not a problem.
So we have our friend of Emurgo here. So, Jonah, take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jonah. I work as community steering committee for Emurgo Academy. We are a blockchain education company. We have blockchain courses, everything from very beginner introductory course that we're just launching. That's going to be completely online. That's going to be what was our Foundations of Blockchain course. That's now going to be kind of a self-guided learning platform that we're sort of building out. Should be launching shortly this month. And then along with that, we also have sort of live courses over Zoom that are certainly more technical based, looking directly at Cardano. Everything from smart contract development all the way through the business cycle of building a dApp. So we have like courses that cover front end and back end, smart contract integration. And we also have coursework now that's geared not towards technical folks. So people who are interested in blockchain, but not necessarily want to be developers in blockchain. So that would be folks who, for instance, would like to do business development work, or maybe be a project manager. And it sort of guides them through sort of what sort of skills they would need to have to sort of develop or join a team to support the developers in launching dApps and so forth. So that's sort of a brief kind of look at what the work we do. We are based out of India. but like I said, all of our courses are online via Zoom. So if you look at the slide here, we have the Cardano Solutions Architect program. That's the full stack production that I mentioned. We have a DeFi program, which is really great. This one is new for us this year. And this one actually kind of launched last year, towards the end of, I think, Q4 last year is when we actually launched it. We had our first cohort, and it's in conjunction with the DeFi Alliance. So this is a really, really excellent course if you want to get a deep dive into the DeFi ecosystem. Everything from tokenomics to the platforms, how to trade and so forth. So this is a very interesting one. It's being taught by sort of the developers in the DeFi space. So it's a really, really excellent course. This one I have not actually participated in, but I have participated in the others. Smart Blocks is what I was mentioning. I did actually mention that, sorry. Smart Blocks is our program that we reach out to universities and colleges around the globe to provide them with actual coursework. So we work as providing actual coursework for them to onboard people into blockchain focused on Cardano. This is something that we sort of pivoted our work to be very Cardano centric about 2 years ago. Previous to that, we sort of did some more general blockchain and Ethereum programming, but now we've kind of really steered ourselves over to Cardano and to focus primarily on that ecosystem. Diligence is something that is very new that we are launching this year. This is going to be a smart contract auditing service that Emurgo is starting to provide. So we have a great team of auditors that we are going to work together with us on this. We providing this service sort of as we're reaching out to folks who are developers, but we also are looking for folks to come to us if you're interested in having things audited. We have, like I mentioned, we have teams that work on this. So we have teams that are going to be providing, Plutarch audits, Aiken audits, and then we also are going to have some non-technical auditing, so we can look at sort of like design patterns and things like that. So it's very exciting for us to launch this new program, Diligence. And then what I mentioned at the very beginning are
Maybe I can just fill in a little bit about Emurgo Diligence. So Emurgo Diligence is actually a smart contract audit service which Emurgo has launched. And as Jonah put it, right, the idea is to sort of help the existing ecosystem get to the point where all the popular apps get audited, so that the security of the smart contract application, etc., is trusted, right? And that's a very important thing, because one good thing about Cardano, of course, if you look at the way that Cardano is designed, is that a lot of the bugs that are a common theme in other blockchain protocols like Ethereum or otherwise, right? A huge chunk of those are sort of removed because of the design of Cardano's on-chain and off-chain transaction building, right? However, this does not mean that everything is secure here, right? There's still chances of backdoors. There's still chances of some sort of unknown interaction between various parts of the smart contracts, and that causing some issue where a hacker is able to, say, drain the funds from the application, right? We have had a narrow miss maybe a year and a half ago, where one of the popular dexes almost got hacked, but it was actually saved by another dex. So thankfully, we have not had any hacks till now. But this does not really reduce the necessity for a smart contract audit, right? And the challenge that happens on Cardano is the technical space, at least till very, very recently, was very rarefied, right? The development skills that you had to have to even write code on Cardano were very extensive. And smart contract audits, of course, were something, I mean, every company tries to do an internal audit, but without an external peer-reviewed, external audit being done, the trust does not come into the application. So what we are really trying to do is we are trying to build a service which can sort of help all these organizations, startups, etc., which are about to go to mainnet, right? And if you look at some of the auditing firms which used to be around for some time, the well-known ones, the problem is that they're extremely expensive. So our hope and our focus is on trying to get to the point where we can offer reputed smart contract audits at a reasonable price. And I think this is going to become more and more important, considering that, as more and more Catalyst project Catalyst proposals get funded and then they come to production and deployment on mainnet, it's very important for them to have an audit done so that there's no misuse of, there's no problem with user funds getting drained and, Cardano getting hit reputationally because of that. So I think that's what we are trying to do with Emurgo Diligence, right? And the last thing I think is the e-learning portal. Now, traditionally, if you see, Emurgo Academy has always been a live faculty-led, kind of a training program, right? All our programs are programs where you directly talk with faculty who are experts in development, who are experts at blockchain development specifically, right? And specifically in Cardano. And the idea there is that, when you learn from people, it's a very different experience. You get any doubts, you ask them, and then dynamically the narrative in the session helps you to understand things much better, much more clearer, and your learning curve becomes much better, right? But of course, there's always this thing that yeah.
I just want to interject one little. There's another aspect that is slightly it's sometimes missed in the aspect of having live on classes, is that you also have the ability or the relationship with the other learners in the classroom. So you can people pick up things at different paces. They help each other out in different ways, and having the other learners there and available in real time along with the instructor is really, really valuable. And I found that going through the coursework that, at times you might get hung up on a very, very minute or very small task in the development process or in the learning process, and having someone there who can, give you a quick answer while the instructor might be working on in the chat is really, really helpful. So there is like this community element to the learning platform that is missing on a lot of the sort of self-paced, non-symmetric learning platforms. So there's a lot of extra benefit there being live with other students in the classroom setting. Sorry, Bharat.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. I think what Jonah said is absolutely right. It's not just the fact that you have access to a live faculty who's an expert and who has not only developed applications but taught how to develop applications over the last maybe 2 years, and he has faced 100 different questions, and he has figured out how to best explain things in a way where the learner understands it really well. But also, as Jonah put it, right, it's the peer learning that is very, very important. I think we can be very proud of Emurgo Academy in the sense that quite a few of our learners have then gone on to form startups which are becoming very well known in the ecosystem. For example, if you look at Anastasia Labs is one of those startups which has been started by Philip Desaro, who was our Cardano solutions architect expert faculty. And he noticed a couple of people who were really talented in the batch, and together they started Anastasia Labs, right? So there are, I think, considering the number of learners that we have, I'm sure that many of them have gone, quite a few of them have actually gone on to work in IOG, in Atala Prism teams, or in so many other places, Cardano Foundation as well, right? And so the contribution of Emurgo Academy to building the Cardano ecosystem is very, very significant, in the sense that because of the fact that we have a very well-defined curriculum which takes you right from where you're an enthusiast, right? You know about Cardano, you probably invested into cryptocurrency, you have some idea about how things work on Cardano. From that point to get to the point where you can be a production development expert, right? So that entire journey is being mapped out in our programs. So that's something that I'm sure a lot of people, it has helped them to navigate that extreme learning curve. Especially Haskell and Plutus used to be such a big pain, right? And and for example, if you look at it, right, even our learners now, Jonah himself this was way before Shelley, right? Shelley era, where Cardano was sort of in the Byron era, doldrums. Nothing was happening except just trading. And so at that point, Emurgo Academy was formed in 2019, in January 2019, right? And till the point that Cardano became active, we sort of said, okay, let's at least build blockchain awareness. So we had the foundations of blockchain program, then we had Ethereum and some other enterprise blockchains like Hyperledger Fabric. And Jonah was one of our learners from way, way early, right? In fact, if you look at most of the people who work with Academy today, almost all of them are ex-learners who we noticed during the batches, and we saw that they have a particular talent, right? And that's how we sort of said, okay, why don't we look at working with them? And so if you look at almost all our faculty, as well as almost all our people who work with Emurgo Academy, they're all ex-learners, right? So that so we get to see all these amazing talents, and then we get to work with them. Right? So that's a little bit about Emurgo Academy. I mean, as I said, we have been around since January 2019. It's been 5 years. Right?
Something I want to also add to this, which is kind of a similar pivot, is that one of the benefits also, I'm just talking now, moving to the diligence program, is that because we're part of the Emurgo family, we have a lot of resources available to folks who come in to diligence through Emurgo Global. As you know, that's a giant company, and they have many kind of projects underneath them, of which Academy and Diligence is one. But joining that ecosystem allows you to have access to all of the other Emurgo family products, which is something that's also very, it's nice. It's kind of the same idea what Brat was saying about how the learners can join the family. Well, we have a similar pathway for dApps that come to us. We're also going to we're going to bring them into the Emurgo family as a larger unit, which is something that's very exciting for us.
And the courses are fun. They're really good. I can speak from own experience, and we were laughing a lot. And you're a great teacher, Bharat. Really, you are. Incredibly funny. So yes, highly can recommend that. And yeah, bring a cup of coffee and lots of water if you join the Haskell course.
Yeah, yeah. So if you see, Haskell is this extremely high learning curve kind of a situation, right? Even if you are interested, sitting through the grind and getting to the point where you really understand Haskell well enough to start making sense of Plutus, and then you have all the Plutus documentation and the inconsistencies and the versions and so many other things which you struggle with. So I mean, Cardano programming has always been very, very high on demand, right? High in what it demands from you. Thankfully, I think things are changing, right? What has occurred with Aiken, for example, is something really awesome, right? And so as Academy, we see that Aiken is bringing in this much more comfortable situation for developers, where they can build entire applications based on Aiken, and so that basically the learning curve, at least the initial challenges, have been reduced because of Aiken. Definitely, though there are challenges. I mean, Aiken as a programming language has rapidly evolving stuff, which means that many things which you depend upon in a next version break, or they change or something. So the documentation changes, the features change, etc. But overall, it's a much better way to look at things. It has taken all the mistakes and all the learnings from Plutus TX and then incorporated that into the way it's designed, right? So that's something really good. And so over time, I think we are also looking at not exactly moving away from Plutus TX and Haskell to a more of an Aiken-based approach, but then at the same time ensuring that you still have a good understanding of Plutus TX, right? Plutus TX is still the dominant thing for all the earlier solutions that have been created. So you should definitely be able to understand that, right? So as a evaluation of this, the current batch that we are running, we have sort of started introducing Aiken and comparing it with Plutus TX, and that way the learners sort of get this transitional view of how do you move away from a Haskell Plutus TX based approach to an Aiken based approach. But then over time, maybe by Q2, I think we should be building on Aiken. Now, this means that basically at least the first part of struggling with Cardano development has been resolved to quite an extent, because you've simplified the language, right? Maybe it's not as simple as Ethereum Solidity, but definitely much better than a Haskell Plutus TX kind of an approach. But then again, that just means that you become good at smart contract development, right? But if you look at a production dApp development, that's a whole other ball game, right? You have to look at things like how do you get a full stack application designed? How do you make sure that that full stack application is able to take the stress and the load of being in a production environment where maybe tens of thousands of users are trying to engage with that at a single time. Then there's things like security, production optimization. How do you ensure that your design patterns which you're using in your smart contracts are top notch, right? There are specific design patterns which have been created specifically for the Cardano ecosystem based upon the UTXO, EUTXO architecture, etc., right? And yeah, so there's so much stuff to do there. So I think the Cardano Solutions Architect is the program which sort of starts off from you knowing about Aiken or Plutus TX or whatever, how to build a smart contract, and then get you to the point where you are able to create a production level application by yourself or maybe with a couple of other learners, right? So that's what Emurgo Academy really trying to do. And I think, the other things that we are looking at, Emurgo Academy 2024, I think the idea is to sort of, with the e-learning portal, we are trying to address a different need. That is, instead of looking at live faculty-led long courses which teach you a lot, we are going to have these bite-sized programs where you can come in for free, you learn the entire skill, right? You attend the e-learning course, it's free. And if at the end of it, you say, okay, I learned this awesome thing and I want to get certified, then basically what happens is the certification, which is given to you as an NFT, and it's a cool collectible NFT, as well as the fact that it's a certificate of learning. That sort of helps you, that's a paid thing, but then some of the revenue from that, or half of the revenue from that, goes to the founding framework. For example, if let's say Lucid, right? You have a course on Lucid or on Aiken, or right now we are building a course on Maestro, right? So whenever you buy a certification NFT that is co-certified by the framework that the course is built upon, and the revenue goes to them, so it supports them to some extent. So it's a very, very well designed, community driven learning platform which is free for everybody to use, right? So that's a little bit about what Emurgo Academy is really trying to do. We are trying to address education in all streams and walks of life, as well as security audits. That's a new thing which has come up recently, right?
I see. Up here.
Sorry.
There is a question from Mauro.
Yeah, I was going to say.
To continue to our next guest.
Yes, I have a question. I'm always on charge of made the heavy questions, but of course it's with the whole respect, guys, and I appreciate your work. But as a Cardano ambassador, I always heard a concern about the lack of communication between Emurgo and Emurgo Academy with the community itself. But since November, I see that there's a face washing of Emurgo to try to contact more the community itself, and also to start to establish in new markets as Latin America, Europe, etc., etc. I want to know if this is a brand decision, is a decision made by the employees, how this is working, because I see a really great and a huge improvement of my side, that always a new attempt of trying to communicate better with the community itself. I see more community activities, a lot of people reaching out. This is great, and Emurgo has been doing a lot of stuff for a lot of time, and people doesn't know, and it's time to spread the word about all the job. So this is my question today, and sorry if it's tough or heavy, but
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If you see, I think in the last a year or so, right, there has been a very top-down decision to sort of engage more with the community, to look at what really makes sense to the ecosystem as a whole, right? And I can say that, you know, a large part of that is because of our COO Nikhil, who's come in. He's sort of brought in that clarity and you know, a very systematic way in which he's you know, brought in that decision into activities, right? So that's something really awesome that's happening. Emurgo is definitely a much larger part of the community. Though of course Academy, we did have the community for more than 2 years, but as a whole, if you see the cohesiveness and the unified thinking process and the messaging and the communication that's happening is definitely a strong part of Emurgo today, right? And there's a lot more that's going to happen in the coming year, or you know, more than a year, let's say.
Yeah, I would just that's a great response, Bharat. I would also mention, you know, there's Emurgo Global became aware of this, and they launched a lot of programs kind of towards the middle and end of last year, and I think they're going to continue to do more things moving forward. Like Cardano Spot is one of their initiatives to sort of give more information to the community about what Emurgo is actually doing. And like you mentioned, Marura, you're going to see a lot more on Twitter. If you're on LinkedIn, you're going to see a lot more posts about Emurgo over there. A lot of little video clips and so forth, just trying to share with the community, the broader Cardano community, what sort of activities Emurgo is engaged in. And I think I do agree with you that in the past, it's sort of been like, what's going on over there? And I think, as Bharat mentioned, with this new CEO, that things are changing quite a bit, and I think for the better. I think it's actually I'm very excited. I'm really excited also about this social platform that Emurgo is developing, which is going to be very interesting. But so
awesome. I think we are out of time, I guess. So
just a bit. But
thanks for the question. I think
to everybody who listened, first of all, the links are down below, and second of all, if you join one of the courses, you can continue the talk.
I just want to say thank you for the Cardano EU community for having us on to let us share a little bit about what we're doing. Marcus, David, Maruro, there's a few more there I missed, but I thank you guys for having us on. We appreciate it. We'd love to come back anytime. Please just reach out.
Thank you.
Amazing. We will love to have you back another time for sure. Always interesting. So it's time for Revuto to present. Vedran, are you ready?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Welcome
I'm
here.
ready.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you guys for having me here. So again, my name is Vedran. People usually call me Vex because it's easier to pronounce. Sometimes people even think that I'm from India. I don't know, maybe because of my name. I don't think that I look like an Indian, but we are coming from Europe. We are from Croatia. Also, people often mistake me for being from Russia because of my hard accent, English accent. So I just wanna start with that. I'm happy that I'm not developer on Cardano. I'm just the CEO, so I run the things. I'm not building, digging deep, because yeah, it's not easy. At least it was not easy for us. I'm gonna just start that we with how we began with all of this, with the idea, because we wanted to build something meaningful on blockchain. So actually, you know, we are not building the infrastructure or anything like that, deep tech things. We are just exploiting the blockchain technology and trying to help people to save their money on paying for their subscriptions. So there is a particular reason why we are doing so, because a subscription business model nowadays is growing rapidly in the world. And soon you're going to be buying most of your things, not just paying for the services, but actually buying things on a subscription, as a subscription. It's coming into other world as well. I've been a few years in the US, and I noticed that most of the things that I'm paying for, I'm paying like recurringly, you know, and I'm leaving all kind of my debit or credit cards to those different service providers. And in the end, I lost track to whom, how much, when I was paying for, and even there's a fact that people underestimate 2.5 times how much they're paying monthly on all those things. So how we are doing this, we are actually releasing virtual debit cards for each of the subscriptions that our users are having. Debit card program is not something that we launched yet. So we have an app which is downloaded now more than 400,000 times, and we have more than 368,000 registered users. So this is really amazing achievement. Although, or I would say, despite that we haven't launched debit card program yet. Still, our users can add their subscriptions to the app and track those payments. They get the notifications through in-app mobile notifications and email notifications about the due date when the payments are due. But besides that, we also have a crypto wallet which we added, and there is a reason why we do so, because once when we launch the debit card program, people are going to be able not only to use their debit or credit cards to top up those virtual debit cards, but also to use the crypto assets. And in our case, people are going to be able to use Cardano native tokens. This is really important because now we are talking with a couple of projects within Cardano and trying to figure out how we can actually onboard them into this setup, because I'm pretty sure aware that you understand how the debit card as a financial instrument works. So behind the debit card is an IBAN account in case if you're from Europe, and in the beginning we're gonna be serving only people from European Economic Area in the UK. So to be able to top up that card, we need to find a way how to off-ramp crypto to fiat, and that's not easy if those tokens are not listed on centralized exchanges. That's a pure fact. Also, it's not helping if there is no liquidity as well. But again, we have a crypto wallet, we have a staking center, which was so far the most used product of ours. Actually, we were amazed by the response of the community, how much people wanted to stake, and this is something that really overwhelmed us, and we built the setup in a way to help people stay with us while we build the core feature to incentivize them to stay with our, we call it ecosystem, with our mobile app. I just have to mention that we are mobile app only, so we don't have a web app. And a lot of people stake their assets. In the beginning, we offer staking Revuto tokens, then we were rewarding them with our own tokens, then with the tokens from partnering projects. Also, we then opened the R fund where people were able to stake their ADA for really good APR, and then we promised to use those ADAs to invest in other early stage crypto projects on Cardano to help them make a successful ICOs. We had some other also staking opportunities. Also with our app, you can actually buy ADA and Revuto token directly with your credit or debit card. We have a really awesome referral program, NFT center, and things like that. But to get back to what we are trying to do here is actually to build a really super app for all your problems with the subscriptions, where we're gonna protect users from unexpected or unwanted charges by actually allowing them to control those payments via virtual debit cards. Again, for each of the subscription, we're gonna issue them a virtual debit card, which they're gonna be able to control. But then on top of that, we have a set of auxiliary features within the ecosystem, which are using the blockchain technology to help people either to save money or to earn money. So one of those, like those, I would say, setups are using NFT technology, liquidity pools, and even staking opportunities to help them people save money. So for instance, in just one of the setups which are really easy to understand, because also one of the reasons or the goals with our app is to actually onboard people who didn't have necessarily contact with crypto in the past, and then to show them what they can do actually with crypto through, I would say, Web 2 approach, really easy to use user interface and the app in the end. So we wanna actually introduce people to stakings, crypto stakings, by saying them, hey, listen, we see that you're spending, let's say, $40 or $50 monthly on your subscriptions, and you don't necessarily have to spend your own money. You can actually invest in crypto, stake that crypto for a certain period of time, and use staking rewards to cover those rather small monthly expenses. This is just one of example, and we call it stake to subscribe. Also, we wanna actually support the buy now and pay later feature for all those prepaid services that people are paying for, with the liquidity pools built on crypto. So when somebody is not gonna have their own funds to actually pay for something like his Netflix, he's gonna be able to borrow funds from those liquidity pools where other users within the Revuto ecosystem are gonna be providing liquidity for that, of course, for a fee. And then those small loans are gonna be returned in a rather small time, like within 30 days, also for a fee. And the point of that setup is to be actually sustainable. Also, we have a great use case for NFT technology where we use NFTs as a certificate on a blockchain that somebody prepaid with us, not with the service provider, for certain subscription on a certain period of time. Because what is also a big problem in the industry is that when people opt to pay something for a longer period of time with services directly, they think that they're gonna save money, but in the end they lose money because they prepay something that they actually not use in full, and then they lose money. So we want to, with NFT technology, allow them to monetize unused subscription periods by putting on the market that NFT which is actually correlated, connected to what they prepaid for, and get money back for things that they didn't use in a way. So I'm not gonna go into details how all of this works, but in the end, altogether, we think that we are building the core app a little bit different than most of those fintech apps, which are mostly neobanks. We are the only ones at this moment that I know that are tackling this market and integrating the blockchain technology as we are. I just want to add that it's been really now, like, we started in 2021 when we had really exceptional ICO, and we were really on a fast pace to build things, but actually we didn't have enough time to build everything before the bear market hits us. And we, since May 2021, we released the first version of the app in 2 months, and then since then we issued several app updates. 2023 was really tough for us because not only that it was a bear market and we couldn't use the token to build, and the token price was bleeding, and it was not helping in our case that we were listed on SEX, on Gate.io and KuCoin, so we had to provide the liquidity also to sustain that sell pressure by buying back the tokens via market maker and things like that. But now in January we actually again stepped on the gas to really be fast and actually to get us ready for the next bull cycle when we want to release the core feature out. I don't know if I missed something, but yeah, that's mostly it. I also want to actually, I see the name, familiar name, Jakob here. I want to thank him for the support. He's one of our investors and biggest supporters, I would say. Yeah, thank you, Jakob, for helping us and for supporting us. I don't know how you came up here. I know that I didn't invite you. And yeah, that's mostly it. So I think that yeah, the worst is behind us, that we were afraid that we are not gonna be able to make it, but yeah, we are here and now we are getting ready to launch everything that should really help us to make great impact in 2024 and especially in 2025.
I think you are ticking a lot of boxes because I've seldom
Yeah.
so many nods during a presentation. Like the whole thing was shaking. That was amazing. Really cool. I have a
Yeah, I
question.
try to be fast. It's
I
usually
have a
really, yeah, it's really hard to understand, to explain everybody what Revuto is. So I would actually ask people to download the app and to check it out. So
I have a question, but I'm gonna
yeah,
let Jonah first because he was polite and
yeah,
raising his hand.
okay,
Go.
Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate that. I have two questions. One is,
sure.
makes perfect sense. You're building in your jurisdiction. Will you be, opening this up to the rest of the world at some point in your roadmap?
Yeah, that's the goal. You know, there are a couple of regions that are very interesting to us because we see a lot of users coming from other regions, especially Middle East and Asia Pacific, and also Latin America. Obviously, North America is still our main market because of the buying power and because people are there actually spending a lot of money on their subscriptions. But it's not easy to cover all those regions because to launch the debit card program, you need to work with third-party service providers, which are actually card issuers and banking providers. And I have to say that that market is changing a lot in recent months because those debit cards supporting crypto are under scrutiny from the regulators because people are using them to actually off-ramp a lot of crypto assets into fiat, which is taxable event, and they're not paying taxes. And in financial world, AML, anti-money laundering law, is the biggest law because that's how they earn money. They want us to pay taxes, and being able to use those crypto debit cards where you, for instance, with the crypto.com can withdraw on ATM 240,000 euros of cash. It's something that is being noticed now because adoption is growing, and yeah, they are now taking measures. That's why we see a lot of those service providers losing their ability to provide the service, the licenses from regulators, and that was one of the biggest problems why we didn't launch sooner, because we integrated 2 times in the past with different service providers. The biggest was Pairnet. Actually, the Rails Bank was the marketing name, and they lost license in January 2023. And always when you switch to somebody else, it takes time, compliance and technical integration to do so. So now we are working with the company which we think it's gonna survive and it's doing things right. Yeah, so after we launch here, then we're gonna search for other providers to help us to spread this service around the world. So yeah,
That's fantastic. Thank you for that response. I had just one little other, if you
okay.
mind. This is something else. I love what you said about being able to like resell your subscriptions that are being unused. And I'm in the creative industry, and one of the things that is very troubling, that I find very disquieting in this space, is that there's these stock agencies that sell stock music and stock images, and it's a use it or lose it. You pay a very high fee per month, and if you don't download a stock image, you basically pay a subscription for nothing. And sometimes people who are gig workers like me, you have ups and downs in your cycle. Some months I need a lot of stock, some months I need very little stock. And being able to sell my unused stock would be a brilliant advantage in this space. Have you worked with any stock or that kind of agencies yet?
Not yet, but there is an interesting setup, how we achieve this. So basically, we connect two things that we have within the ecosystem. We can mint out the NFTs, and we can actually issue debit cards. And then we said, again, people can opt with the service providers to pay something, obviously upfront, because we are now talking only about those services which you pay upfront for a certain billing cycle. There is no contractual obligation or something like that. So only prepaid services. So you can go to the service provider and opt to pay month after month, or you can actually opt to pay for a year or even like 2 years to get some kind of a discount. But when you do so, when you opt to pay something on a longer period, you think that you're gonna save money. But again, as you said, maybe you're not gonna be using that service in full, because at some period of time you need that service, but after you actually don't need it. And either in a professional work, you're working on a project or something like that, and things, go differently, and you don't need those tools or services anymore, or even for the personal use. So we said, don't go to those service providers and pay them. You're gonna come to us and pay to us for that certain period of time, and we can even give you an opportunity to choose for how long period you want to prepay for. Obviously, we're going to give you as well some kind of a discount. But what gives you here the opportunity to actually, if you, for instance, prepay, let's say Netflix, because it's something that like everybody understand, you prepay for Netflix for 20 months with us, and for I don't know what reason you decide you want to get rid of your Netflix, you don't want to use it anymore after 10 months. Actually, you can put that NFT that we issue you, which actually has the information that you prepaid with us for Netflix for 20 months, you can put it on the market and say, it's 10 months is left with that, correlated with that NFT, and I want to sell it to somebody. Let's say Netflix is $10, I'm going to sell it for $80, and just get money back. So how it works, you put the market on NFT. When we see that the new owner of NFT, bought that NFT and he brought it back to the Revuto wallet, we issue the new owner of that NFT new virtual debit card, which he uses with his Netflix, with his account. And obviously to previous user, we discontinue his virtual debit card, which he used with his Netflix. And as we know that there is still 10 months left that was prepaid with us, we top up that virtual debit card 24 hours before the due date for the rest of those 10 months. But still, that cycle can be repeated, because that new owner can even, like after 5 months, again put that NFT on the market and sell it to somebody else, as long as there is still a subscription period left. That's why we have a pattern on those NFTs. It's not like a QR code, but it's a pattern of our colors, and you're going to be able to scan that NFT with our app, and then we're going to tell you, although there is a metadata also with the NFT, but just looking at the pattern with the app, we're going to tell the user, hey, this is NFT for the Netflix, and there is still like 10 months left connected to the NFT. So this is how it works. But again, this could be also something that could throw out the market of those gift cards away, because here with this setup, you could actually, mint out NFT for anything, for 6 months of Netflix or Dropbox service or DocuSign or whatever, and actually, send it to somebody else, send it as a gift, or buy it for yourself. So we think it's a cool setup which can actually utilize NFT technology for something meaningful. Although I don't want to say that some other things are not meaningful, but
I think this Netflix Sports Club is great. You should have said no when Jonah was asking if you want to expand to the US. You should have said no, because we need smart people here in Europe. More. You can draw them in by this app.
But listen, luckily, the United States is going to be most likely our last market, because believe it or not, when it comes to fintech products, it's really hard to push debit card program out there. Somehow now Europe is in much better situation, because, for instance, we are e-money regulated company since May 2022, and when you obtain that license, and we obtained that from Bank of Lithuania, it is immediately passported to all European countries. So you are able to provide financial services everywhere. In the US, it's not the case, because every state, they have their own rules and everything. You probably know from Emurgo, because I know that you guys tried to launch the USDA. I would love to see finally native stablecoin on Cardano. I think that this is most crucial actually for the Cardano ecosystem to explode. But yeah, US is tough market.
My question is, and I think you already answered it, but I just
Uh-huh.
want to, because I am currently on this position where I have to go through every account, every portal, and update the credit card, and it
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
tackling this problem as well, correct?
Exactly. Because for your subscription, we issue you virtual debit card, which you enter with your service provider. And once when you do that, you actually can within the app switch how you want to top up that virtual debit card. Either this month I want to pay it with my bank account card, with I don't know, crypto.com card, or any kind of other
You never expire.
yeah, and even with directly with the crypto wallet as well.
But you never have the expiry date, basically the issue, right?
Well, the virtual debit card has an expiration date. It's 5 years. So it's not like we are issuing disposable virtual debit cards. Unfortunately, this is how Visa and MasterCard work. There is no indefinite debit card that they can issue you.
Yeah, because that was
but
the
at
issue
least,
that I've seen. That was the issue
yeah.
that I've seen. It's like a month ago, every service was writing us, "Hey, it's going to expire soon." And I was like, "Not
Yeah,
now." I'm working.
well, if you use the same card for everything and that card is expiring, yeah, it's a painful process because you need to go through all those services and then enter the different number. But yeah, here you're gonna be at least no, for 5 years you're gonna be good. But again, you're gonna have not only like the option to switch cards and to decide how to pay every month, or I don't know what kind of billing cycle that service is gonna have, but also you're gonna have a privacy as well, because this is really important. People don't think about it. Maybe it's not so much in my country, but for instance, if you wanna get a loan or a credit in bank is gonna actually look at your statement and check what you have been paying for with your debit card. And even if they see crypto connected merchants, or I don't know, betting or porn or whatever, they think it's maybe not fine, then they lower the credit score for you. In this case, on your bank statement, it always says Revuto as a merchant. And yeah, then again, you're going to be connected to all those with other features, so you're going to be able also to borrow money and things like that. So
Sorry for interrupting. Do you
yeah.
provide a receipt then? Because as a company, it might be a different use case. So is it more for private people, or is it something that we as a company, for example, an incorporated company, could use as well?
So we're gonna send the statement every month. This app is actually built for a consumer market, although we are thinking about adding the business account as well, because we see the small business owners and agencies and small businesses in general could use something like this to control their payments, because they're spending a lot of money on those services monthly.
Exactly.
So yeah,
because that's been the thing that I've been thinking about. Like,
well, a lot of things is crossing on our mind, what to do, and how to expand this. But it's hard. We need to go step by step, because people think this is easy to build. It's not. The app is very complex. And so,
thank you, Dagan. This was awesome.
I just want to poke in and say one more thing here. Have you thought about talking with Mihan? They're the folks launching the stable coin in the US. I don't know if they're doing
in the US.
Yeah, they're doing an on-ramp, off-ramp fiat to their stable coin platform as well. So they might be able to help.
I didn't talk actually to them. I met with them in Dubai, but actually I spent a lot of time talking to Emurgo, because Emurgo was trying to launch USDA, and in the end, they even offered us to open the entity in the US to help them, breach some legal things. In the end, they decided to ditch out the project mostly because of the legal implications and everything. I was really sad to hear about that, and then even I was proposing them because I still think that maybe a good way to go to launch a stablecoin in Europe, because that is, as I see it now, and I talk here to regulators, it's much easier to do here in Europe than in US, and especially before the MiCA regulation hits in full power in January 2025. Now it's been enforced since June last year, so they gave us 18 months of period when we need to comply to all those rules and everything, but there is still I think opportunity to launch something like that in Europe. But yeah, I'm gonna reach out to those guys because we really need stablecoin. Even in our case, when we are talking about micro lending and borrowing, that liquidity pool, people cannot borrow assets which are going up and down in price, because then you're exposed to volatility of that token, and you can, that business model wouldn't be sustainable. So stablecoin is really, it's so much needed even in all kind of DeFi setups, really, even like in DeFi lending protocols and things like that. We see the problem with the Indie protocol. Okay, they're doing well, but still, IUSD was depegged. And this is not something that you can build on a large scale, that a lot of liquidity is going to come into those protocols, because the stable coin is not stable. Even the Jet, like $3.5 million only of liquidity. And we also saw in September the Jet depegged, and then even Kotti decided to move away in a way to switch focus on some other things, because people don't have trust in algorithmic stable coins. So we really need something like USDM. I'm really hoping that those guys are going to launch it soon, because we need it. We need it. We just need it.
They probably have information because they are doing a state-by-state rollout. So they are actually, they're in each state trying to figure out the regulatory compliance, state by state, which is kind of delaying, I think, a lot of their rollout. They have, I think, about 6 or 7 states online already, but they could just be an informational source for you, maybe, in the future when you decide to move here.
I think you want to move fast.
Vedran, apologies if I may ask a question.
Sure.
Vedran, what was the time slot that you spent on getting the e-money license?
1 year. 1 year. About 1 year. It was really a tough process, but in our case, we got help from Rails Bank, which was at that time our partner for card processing and card issuing. They were at that time the biggest in the market. They were guys issuing cards for Crypto.com, and Crypto.com departed from them in fourth quarter of 2022. That is when we saw that something was going on. Crypto.com is now not only their own issuer, but also the acquirer. They're so big. But yeah, it took us 1 year with the help of also the agency called Wallace from Lithuania. And Lithuania is actually a very crypto fintech friendly environment. So if you need any kind of help regarding that, I can connect you. But yeah, it's mostly a lot of back and forth talks and providing okay, you go to the KYB and everything, and they check on the founders and on your business and business model and things like that. But it's a lot of paperwork, just the paperwork, because you need to have those processes set in place, for your use case, like a transaction monitoring and user screening and KYC and IML checks and fraud prevention and detection and all mumbo jumbo. But it's just like a lot of paperwork that you need to write and send them, and then it's not a stamp anymore, but they get approval on that, and then they say, okay, you're fine. But also you have some kind of audits every year, which you need to pay. It's not a lot, like $5,000 by those like big 5 companies. And yeah, but also I have to mention that there are different kind of e-money licenses also. You need to understand that they are like, you know, for instance, Revolut is now almost as a bank. You know, they have such a high. It's still the e-money license, but
Can
you know,
can you
it's
issue a
healthier.
stable coin by yourself thanks to your e-money license or not yet?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So one of my wishful thinking or wet dreams was actually to issue the stablecoin in Europe, because I knew what would it take and what is the process. But first of all, to be able to issue the stablecoin, you need to be in a way custodian. You know, so that's why, I don't know if you saw it, but mostly exchanges are the issuers of the stablecoins. You know, first was Bitfinex with the USDT, and then of course the Binance with their stable coins, and Coinbase with the USDC. But you need to be licensed to be able to provide custodian services, which is a different license than EMI license. And also you need to license to be able to provide exchange services between fiat and crypto. So this is also the different license. This is license for off-ramping and on-ramping, basically. So those two things are important to be able, as an entity, to issue the stablecoin. And in the end, when you're a custodian or you actually work with some partnering bank, you need to find the liquidity. This is most important. You need to find the initial liquidity to, you know, if you have issuance, I don't know, of 2 million is nothing, you know, so you need a lot of money to have a basic issuance, like, I don't know, $50 million. You need to put $50 million in bank, actually, to be able, for the people that can easily actually, you know, when they buy stablecoin, then if they want to sell it, they need to have fiat, and you usually send that fiat with a SEPA transfer to their bank account. So that liquidity is very important, and that liquidity need to be insured as well and monitored, because you cannot you know, do with that money whatever you want, although some are investing.
Don't get to the
those
idea
funds.
that you want to mix, that you want to provide certain a basket, because then the scrutiny is much higher. You want to be in the money token area and not in the reference token area, right? Or in the, because otherwise it's just like, I think it's like an umbrella being put up in the back and then being opened, if you want to be.
Yeah, but it's, you know, it's not easy to actually the setup is not the mystery, but it's not easy to actually issue the stablecoin and actually obtain that peg, because it really needs to be very, very efficient and liquid. If people decide to sell that stablecoin to off-ramping to fiat, you really need to have that money on disposal. We saw what happened in the US with the Silicon Valley Bank and the Circle, because actually, you know, people were not able to off-ramp stablecoin to fiat and get fiat, because, you know, those banks were in a way not accessible at a certain period of time. So yeah, and it's a regulated thing, and it's getting worse with time. That's why I think that there is still window of opportunity to do something, and I'm hoping that the USDM is you know, be successful thing, although they are trying to launch it in the US.
I was researching this part, if I may. I was researching this part because I'm for a long time already in open banking. Are you familiar with open banking? So this is like PSD2 and PSD3 incoming, which is going to be combined with the money in Europe. And there are kind of a solution for that. I mean, for things that you mentioned. For example, if you are e-money institution, you can use open banking to check out the accounts, and you can use open banking to move the money, and you don't have to ask for a permission of a bank, which is great. Of course,
well, that's a pre-requirement, actually. That open banking protocol, you know, of course.
So, can I invite you for another fireside chat to exactly do this?
Okay, yeah.
Because that would be great. Yes.
I mean, this is so interesting, and it's unfortunately running really late. But I wanna continue this discussion, if that is okay for you. Because
sure. I see that you get it, because in the US open banking is basically PSD2. In the US they call it open banking. But this is nothing else that the banks are actually allowing companies like ours to connect to the banking accounts through the API communication, and actually check and control those accounts. And to be efficient for the system to be efficient, of course, that infrastructure is needed, because without it, it wouldn't be possible.
Did you guys exchange contacts? Maybe that would help already in between. So then just drop chat if you want to. Keep in touch in the meantime, or you hop into our Discord server. I haven't even posted yet because it was so interesting.
One more Discord server, man.
Yeah, we love it. But this one is a nice one. It's different. I 100% invite you to come back. And maybe we can make a special or something about this, because I saw this interest.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
If that is cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, it will be nice to have you again.
You do the closing. I post the link in a second. Davide?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, pity that we didn't have the keyboard war internet cafe. That would be a good occasion also to shield my own proposal, but okay, means that we don't have to do that. But please remember to vote for at least the European Cardano community proposal, because we are doing a great job. As you can see, we are having a lot of fun with those events, so we deserve it. And I really hope to have you guys again soon in another town hall, because it has been an extremely interesting evening, guys. Thank you very much for what you did.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. See you soon.